GM Fox fam, we're going to get started here in just 1 minute. All right, fam, I guess we can probably get started here. All right, thanks for booting that lo-fi girl off the stage. Welcome to the ShapeShift DAO Operations Office Hour. This is where we try and meet up bi-weekly and give you a peer into what's going on operationally here at the DAO. Great place for you guys to get insight about what we're doing and pose us questions. We're always kind of trying to make our processes and procedures more agile and responsive to the present needs of the DAO and potential future needs of the DAO. So a lot of times the projects that we're working on are in flux. We're going to talk about a couple of things. I drew up a little bit of an agenda today. But I don't know if we'll go the full hour or not. Operations has been pretty heads down recently these last couple of weeks as our deployment process has gotten much more intensive. And it actually is going to increase even more, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We won't have all of our ops agents with us because we actually have split our schedule up to where we have 2 members of our team that start later on in the day and work throughout their time zone. So we might be one of the first work streams that actively has people doing all of their work across time zones that aren't strictly tied to MST. I know engineering's got a couple of contributors as well, so maybe they beat us by a little bit, but we're right in lockstep with them and trying to make sure that we can provide our services whenever they're needed for the DAO and hopefully get this completely decentralized time zone work thing figured out with the DAO as our contributors continue to show up outside of the MST time zone. So to start it off on the list of things we're going to talk about today, I don't think we're going to use the Zoom. We might, but if we don't, everything will just be captured right now inside the stage chat as we go. But we will start today. We're going to start with the Cosmos release. We've got a really big, epic release that a lot of the engineering team and product team has been working on for some number of months now. Getting the architecture right for all of our abstraction layers and doing the work kind of ahead so we can make sure that future IBC tokens and things like that are done in a similar model for app.shapeshift.com was what created a lot of this work to get delayed so much. But we're happy to finally get to the point that we might have some cool features even coming by the end of the day today. Ron's been our go-no-go leader for all of the Cosmos work, and I think it might be best for him to give a little bit of a what to expect when you're expecting Cosmos in app.shapeshift.com. So if you are completely unfamiliar with Cosmos and the IBC ecosystem that we're integrating here, this is a great little bird's eye view for you. And we can give you some what to expect with this new feature set that's coming out and should be live in prod pretty soon.
Yeah, I can talk about that a bit. So right now, you can search for Cosmos or Atom in app.shapeshift.com. When you get to the page, you'll see a balance, a price, your transaction history, and your charts for those accordingly. You'll see some market data and about Cosmos. Once today's goes live, we should be able to start seeing staking options for us to be able to stake through our native wallet and hopefully soon TM keep keys to Cosmos validators and start earning APR on your Cosmos. And that'll show up also on the DeFi section. And once you get there, you'll have the option to have an overview. You'll be able to see so if you're staking to other validators with that wallet, you'll be able to see those there as well, and you'll also be able to. Sorry, I'm trying to get the flag turned on currently. You'll also be able to see the withdrawal modals and what the amount of time left for your unbonding time. So for those unfamiliar with IBC, if you delegate to a validator to help secure the network and earn the APR, you if you want to get your coins unlocked in order to prevent anyone from massively exiting quickly, there is a 21 day unbonding period for Atom, and during that time, you'll see a countdown on, I believe, the withdrawal page. Um, Shoot, I forgot we have this bug yet in prod, but um, you'll also be able to see it on the overview and I think the unstake. Nope, not on the unstake, just the overview page. You'll be able to see when it's unstaking. So you also see your rewards that you can claim there as well, because just like in Ethereum land, you do have to claim each of your rewards. So that will allow you to do that all in one spot and kind of see everything, including your transaction history, all on all on the Cosmos account page.
Awesome. And not sure if everyone in the audience is intimately familiar with IBC, but this is kind of one of the bigger first steps for us in adding non-Ethereum based assets to the ecosystem of app.shapeshift.com. Um, a lot of the blockchain itself is different. The consensus mechanisms for how the blockchain itself continues to produce new blocks is different. A lot of the payloads of the information for what's inside the blocks, including maybe like tags and features like that, are very different than what our current setup was used to with Ethereum. Um, but in the way in which we were able to plug this in, we've got a chain agnostic improvement procedure. I think that's what this CAPE is called. And we've got something that's kind of been architecturally designed by our team from the get-go to be aware of all of these different features and allow us to use them in our system kind of interchangeably. So thought I would add that this is something that, while it took a long time and it is slow, it will be blowing up. Our we will be have less time for each new asset as gets added, and our ecosystem of non-ETH based assets in all of our wallets should continue to grow, and soon we will be the number one chain agnostic wallet there in terms of actual assets provided.
Yeah, and Gray had asked a question: is this just single-sided staking? Correct. This is just the single-sided staking for Atom currently that's being added. The Osmosis LP pool and those will be added soon, TM, after the Cosmos work is finished, and the Osmosis team gets to finish up with their work that they're doing.
Great. Well, if anyone's got more questions about Cosmos or the release that's coming up today, please drop them in the stage chat, but we'll probably keep moving on with other things that we're doing. Actually, maybe stepping aside from the agenda for a second, it might be good to give an overview of Foxy as well. I didn't add Foxy to the agenda, but it's a hot subject of conversation both inside the Discord and on the Twitter Spaces right now. And it's another feature set that just got added to app.shapeshift.com and has a lot of similar sort of UI in terms of staking. Ron, can you give a similar walkthrough of what Foxy looks like inside the app right now and what a user could do with the new feature set there?
Yeah, I can do that. Just to double check to make sure Never Was isn't back yet, but um, doesn't sound like it. Awesome. So yeah, I can do that. So and Foxy is the new single-sided staking that is being offered, obviously, on app.shapeshift.com. It is going to show up under the DeFi section and under the Earn tab, where it should populate to the very top, because obviously we want to promote our uh, our staking probably above everyone else's. And when you click on that as an option, you get an overview, and you'll be able to see if you have any active or pending withdrawals. Because there is a when you withdraw from the Foxy pool, there is an option to do it instantly or to do it over the course of 7 days, I think it is, or whenever the next epoch is for tokamak. And you'll be able to see in the deposit, just like all the rest of the earn modals, that you can choose how much you want to deposit and what your estimated yearly returns are based upon the current percentage that is there. So if that percentage were to go up massively or down massively, that would obviously change it. And then you go through the approval process, which is pretty seamless at this point. And also for the withdrawal, and it'll give you the option of instant or 7 days, and what kind of fee. If or there's also or if there's any kind of fees involved. For the instant withdrawal, it is the only time I think that we're uh, charging a fee. It's because the DAO fronts a number of tokens in order for anyone to acquire or to unlock theirs early. And to do that, we are charging a small fee, so users can access their funds instantly instead of having to wait through that epoch period. And it will also show on the overview page for you as well. And Foxy as an asset will have its own entire dashboard where you can see what your see what your balance is. And I believe I had asked the other day if there's going to be a transaction for any kind of rebasing that would show up, and I believe I had heard that there wasn't going to be. So that would be cool at some point to be able to see how much you're getting from each of these rebases.
Yeah, I know that there's some work being done on V2 of Foxy already by some of our engineers as well. So maybe there'll be more feature sets to be coming from that. But if you are interested in Foxy further than just kind of the user feature set that we just covered here, a lot of the mechanics and things going on in the background are now items of discussion and council for the TDMC. So I'd highly recommend if Foxy is something you'd like to get more information on or get more details about how the mechanics of the service itself is working and the contract is working. The TDMC is now the new proud parents of Foxy. So happy to answer questions from an operations side, but also want to direct anyone's attention to the TDMC if they've got further Foxy questions and things like that. Cool. I'm going to keep moving on with our agenda we've got here. Next I have on the list is our release process procedures. We have a team agreement with engineering and products between operations and those three sides. I guess security is in there as well, for how we get things released from staging or develop all the way to a live prod environment where it's affecting all users that are interacting with the app. And operations is kind of tasked with making sure that we test everything before it goes out there. We're the ones that give a sign off that things are working as expected and there's no bugs inside the new code. And then with sign off from product and engineering, who are also taking a look at the new changes. Once everyone agrees, we push it to prod. It goes live to all of our code bases that are facing end users. And then operations does one last little clean sweep through of checking all of those feature sets, as well as kind of the normal product suite feature sets of everything. So we can make sure that nothing unexpected happened and everything's running smoothly. We moved to a Tuesday and Thursday release cadence about the beginning of January. And this allowed us to have somewhat regularly scheduled releases. So there was no unexpected days that we would surprise everyone with a release. But what it did was it created a kind of these little bottlenecks of situations in which lots of work was happening just right before a release day on a Tuesday or on a Thursday. And we found ourselves having mostly successful releases, but also seeing releases sometimes stretch quite a bit out into extended days. Operations has responded by stretching out two of our assistance schedules to start later. So we now have the availability to go from 9 a.m. MST to about 11 p.m. MST. And so operations is able to do all of the testing we need to do if releases come later in the day, but that also puts kind of a lot of expectation and ask on the product release lead, as well as anyone in the engineering squad that is trying to make a release come out. So you may have heard it from DeFi on a stand-up or in a sprint, but we are now looking at trying to get to a 4-day-a-week release cycle, and this would get us a little bit closer to continuous integration, where we can keep pushing things out every single day. And while this will increase operations time spent on testing, the hope is that with releases Monday through Thursday, the amount of things coming out in each individual release will be lessened. So we won't have as massive changes to the code or increased lines of difference from developed to main. And this also means that if you are an engineer who is trying to get something out, you have a little bit more leniency. If you miss a deadline of a release, it can just go into the one that's happening tomorrow instead of 2 days away or potentially 4 days away. With this, there are some expectations and requests that operations is trying to sneak in here, and we will be updating our team agreements and passing those around and updating them to all the accessible repos. But operations would like to see that all releases pushed to develop happen no later than 2 p.m. MST, and all deploys to prod happen no later than 5 p.m. MST. This allows us to continue to get all of our changes out efficiently, is mindful of everyone's schedules, so we're not putting 10, 12, 14-hour unnecessary days in. And just kind of gives a clear expectations for engineering about where they need to be with their PRs to make sure that they can go through on time in a timely manner. We've often seen situations where we have so many lines of code changed that we've introduced a bug that has become equally difficult to find within that, and had released a couple of weeks ago that blocked up the progress of us being able to move new things as we did our kind of hunting for that needle in the haystack. So we created a traffic jam, and by we I mean kind of operations and engineering equally. It was shared on both sides here of our release schedule, and it created a lot of extra hours for people who were fighting issues in prod and release managers as well. This isn't the end of the world, you know. Coming from centralized ShapeShift, I've definitely myself and others that are maybe sitting on this call or worked on the issues that we had previously have all done pretty intensive prod issue firefighting and pulled long hours to make sure that everything was right for our users and our product suite. And I'd like to think that as we move forward into this new decentralized platform and decentralized code base, we can also make our processes more agile and be a little kinder to our contributors in a more successful and scalable way, both from the code base and in our way in which our teams are responding to our procedures. So with that, we've seen not quite as many prod issues, and we're going to continue to lean into our new procedures and schedule to hopefully continue to decrease those prod issues and have specified containers for how we solve these issues. Moving to this release schedule already from the Tuesday, Thursday allowed us to do instant rollbacks on our changes in ways that we weren't previously able to do so. And now doing 4 days a week, we have even more optionality there. So my hope, and I hope all of ops and engineering's hope here, is that as we transition, I'm not sure if it will be happening release days 4 days a week coming in the next couple of weeks or so. We'll definitely give warning as it happens. But our hope is that as we continue to move into these processes more frequently, we will have increased velocity, better QA on our PRs, and kind of a more formal process for people who, whether they're inside the engineering core team or a bounty hunter, have clear outlined expectations of timelines on where their code needs to be to get merged completely and be paid out, and how to follow a procedure if they don't miss the window that they were trying to aim for. So yeah, I haven't looked at the stage. It doesn't look like, look now. It doesn't look like anyone's saying much there, but wanted to drop my thoughts on this change here and kind of just a little statement about where we are in the process and where we'd like to be.
Yeah, I just want to shout out Gray's really awesome artwork for Cosmos in the in the in the stage chat. I mean, it's phenomenal, and I'm definitely gonna use it as my background now.
Yeah, thanks for creating all of the great assets you do, Gray. They show up in all of my governance slides and things like that. Keep making the stickers, keep making the assets. I'll keep stealing them and broadcasting them to all of my calls.
A+.
So that was kind of a state of the ShapeShift release process and procedures. Happy to answer questions if you guys have them on this. I can also say in this, there are new ways in which operations is perceiving and viewing what tests we perform inside this schedule. Doing this 4 days a week now allows us to maybe loosen our grips on full regression tests and allow more feature-based and focused quote unquote smoke tests for us to do. We have an Allfox coming up next week, and I'll have some slides about the amount of gas that operations uses just to test our feature set. But it is not a small amount of funds, even when we are at this kind of nicer gas fee state of Ethereum right now. And so any ways that we can both assure the functionality and feature set, but also not cost the DAO exorbitant amounts of fees and gas is something we're continually to look into. As we adjust kind of our testing nets, the size of the holes in our nets, there may be some bugs that can bubble up to triage or maybe potentially even a prod issue if it is not missed, if it is missed in a smoke test and then caught in a regression test. So this is still kind of a living process as we are evolving the days in which we are doing releases. So you may see some more active days in operations public chat or triage over the next couple of weeks as we continue to adjust to the engineering needs and try our best to continue to increase the velocity. So that's what I've got to say about our release process procedures. Can move right along to the next item I've got on our agenda, which is the future of bounties. I've graciously taken on the bounty side of how we interact with core contributors non-core contributors on the engineering side of our product suite. So we have like a path for folks who are interested in working with the ShapeShift DAO to not actually be a full-time contributor and just get paid for the work that they do. And if they're good and they'd like to stick around with the DAO here, we can find many different options for how they can continue to contribute successfully. And the best way that we've been doing this so far with those that aren't core contributors has been linking our GitHub issues to Gitcoin, and then finding bounty hunters through Gitcoin who are applying to that and paying out through Gitcoin. Unfortunately, Gitcoin is a service that the folks behind it have kind of moved in a different direction and are now super focused on Gitcoin grants instead of bounties. So the bounties UI similar to and services similar to a lot of crypto cutting edge things has some bumps and bugs and difficulties that have made the process a little obtuse for us. So we have found a new service that is being kind of explicitly used by DAOs for bounties, and that is dwork.xyz. Here, I can drop a link in the chat if people are interested in it. And so I've got a call actually set up tomorrow with them, and I've set up a ShapeShift bounties profile already. But we will be moving our task management of our bounties over to dwork, so all of our new bounties being posted will no longer be on Gitcoin. Still kind of smoothing out all of the edges of this with Ocean, but at the base of it, there's an incompatibility with Gnosis and Gitcoin that makes our security settings for our bounty wallets incompatible with Gitcoin, whereas dwork will be something we'll be able to do. Previously, there was a bottleneck in Ocean being the only person who could write bounties for the entire DAO, and so we had the availability of all of product and all of engineering to write all these great tickets that we figured would be best to be done by other contributors that weren't people on core work streams. And then they would all pile up in an inbox for Ocean to be able to sort and put onto Gitcoin. I have taken on the reins from that, so right now they're sitting on my desk instead of his. But my hope is that we will be opening up this responsibility to all of the operations assistants here, and we will soon have a unblocked bottleneck where as soon as bounties are tagged, or tickets in GitHub are tagged as needs bounty, operations will be able to move through the rest of the flow on the other end, all the way from assigning to payout with our bounty hunters. This allows us to meet the needs of bounty hunters outside of just Ocean's kind waking hours, you know? And this hopefully will allow us to evolve the unsolved user problems meeting that we have once every other week, or at least the second half of that meeting, into something that goes not just about identifying problems that we see inside our app, but also identifying the path to the solution, as well as potentially assigning work to be done right there inside that meeting. So I have high hopes for the operations team here to be able to assist and provide some cycles back to the engineering work stream in a space that they don't need to be worrying about kind of the admin-y back-end side of this work. They've got enough on their plates just focusing on making sure that the PRs do the intended work as described in the tickets. So this is something that will be slowly growing in time as we learn how this new service in dwork kind of meets the needs of our bounties. And it's also something that I've inherited some pretty clear processes and procedures that Ocean has set up in the beginning of this process. So we're not starting completely from scratch, but it is a little bit of a handoff that's going to take some time before we're going at full speed again. And I hope that this is something that maybe potentially we can start to use for bounties even outside of engineering work and stuff on GitHub. There's kind of a evolution of our communication as we do a lot of work here in Discord, but we also do some work in Notion, and I'm starting to see quite a bit of communications and discussions move over to GitHub. So as we evolve and grow and educate ourselves as an entity in a DAO, we, as operations workers, will also do our best to be fluent in all the services that we are. And right now it looks like the tea leaves are telling us that GitHub is where the really important stuff is at. And so operations is doing our best to be more heavily involved there where we can in terms of card management, ticket writing, and now bountying. So looks like there's no questions about the bounty process. I don't know if there's anyone on the call who's a potential future bounty hunter, but if this is something that interests you and you're looking to get involved, I'm certainly one of many people you could be reaching out to get set up with. But I would also highly recommend going into the role selector channel, selecting the engineering work stream so you can view all of the engineering workstream channels there, and joining in one of our stand-ups and introducing yourself. There's lots of folks out there that have just taken those simple measures, and in doing so, we've been able to find good fit of tickets before they even get bountied out to the rest of the public. And you can find, we have work to be done, I guess is what I will say. So if you're chomping at the bit for some way to get involved and have a skill set that can be writing tickets and that are dealing with TypeScript or React or things like that, we are the DAO for you. And boy, do I have some things that I can pay you Fox for. Now I got a couple more things on the list, and I didn't think I was going to go for the full hour. Maybe I can monologue for a full hour and we'll take it, but maybe we'll move a little bit quicker here if there's no questions. Next up, we have Go No Goats, Goat No Goats. And we went through the start of Go to Palooza, I want to say 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, which was kind of just a clear communication that the amount of work on the ShapeShiftDAO roadmap was going to require a series of collaborative meetings for each individual project to make sure that every work stream had everything that they needed well in advance of any deadlines that they had to meet. And this is like a really great collaborative arena that allows us to discover things that normally wouldn't have been found out or scoped when each individual work stream is kind of focusing on their own contributions to a project. So I know that they can be time consuming. I know that there are times that our calendar looks overwhelming because of the amount of go-no-goes that can go on. Its operations hope that these are here to assist you, not to bog down any progress. They don't necessarily need to ever go for the extended meeting times that they're scheduled for, but oftentimes there are certain complications or conversations that do arise that this is the perfect container for solving that and moving forward with the work that we need to do. It also is a constant reminder for some work streams that may have pending work to do that might be slightly deprioritized on their own personal kind of agenda, that having weekly or bi-weekly reminders of the existence of this project can help slice a portion of the pie of focus and responsibility for individuals. We at Ops don't have one clear rule on how a go-no-go is supposed to be designed and organized. We do have templates that we use pretty regularly that have clear kind of just categories for work streams to put blockers and notes and people who they are assigned to. But all of these are supposed to be open, flexible, and kind of fit to each individual project. I think we've got 6 still in flight, and I've got a potential another 6 to 10 that will be coming up. The best way to organize yourself around these go-no-goes, I would say first is to actually look at the product roadmap. That gives kind of a warning about what we're working on even before go-no-goes have happened. And then if you're looking for details or information collected on any individual go-no-go that's in flight, the operations Notion has a Kanban that's got every operations assistant who's been assigned to a go-no-go that they're organizing. And each of those cards has details of the spreadsheet that everyone's working with, potentially maybe some scopes or early designs from product, maybe GitHub tickets and things like that. So that's kind of the go-no-goes in a nutshell. And if you're very aware with this, I'm sorry for having you hear my pitch again, but I do know that sometimes people find these meetings to not be as productive as they would like to be. And I hope that we can continue to improve on that. I think that there's a sense of brevity that we're going to try and practice more inside these. I think they don't always have to be synchronous meetings, and I hope that we will find some of these to be able to check some of these boxes asynchronously as we continue to do them. Some of these go-no-goes are very succinct, ephemeral one-offs, you know? We've got one coming up for keep key settings, and it's got a very clear sort of set of requirements that once they're in there, this go-no-go is a go, and we move on with our lives because we've checked all the boxes. We also have some projects that kind of have lights at the end of the tunnel that might be much, much dimmer. So, for example, things like the Cosmos feature set that we talked about earlier, or even something like Foxy, there may be a series of go-no-goes that we do a first round MVP and then to a soft launch and then start the process all over a go for advanced features or things like that. So each feature set can have a go-no-go that matches what it needs to. Yeah, and looks like no questions whatsoever. I don't know if you guys are really enjoying what I'm saying or if everyone's tuned out completely. I have a tendency to talk long enough that people fall asleep, so maybe that's happening as well. But there's a good crowd here.
So when is the POAP?
No POAPs. No POAPs. If anyone has ways in which they think that we should consider improving our current go-no-go processes, I would love to welcome that feedback. And just got a message from DeFi Seth about he'd like to learn more about DWork since he's going to have to make a guide on it. Good question. I'm going to have to learn a little bit more about DWork myself. I have an intro tomorrow there. The things that I know right now, it does all of the feature sets of Gitcoin, and it also supports Gnosis Safe, which was the main reason that I'm migrating over to it. It looks almost like a reskin of Trello, I would assume. And I would imagine that if we like DWork as much as I think we might like it, there could be future conversations for migrating some things like potentially repos inside Notion over there. There's some really nice mass imports of GitHub and Notion and Trello and things like that. Yeah. Oh, and I'll clarify, this is not payment on the Gnosis network. This is payments that are sent from a Gnosis multi-sig wallet. We created a multi-sig wallet that's got both engineering keys as well as operations keys. So there's not one single point of failure for paying out our bounties. And so it's not one bottleneck there. But this multi-sig is on mainnet. It is not on a side chain. But looking into side chains and payments is something that I definitely will be looking at with DWork, and we'll see if maybe if it's not available there, if it's a feature set that we can request gets added. It seems like a very new, young tool for DAOs. So if we jumped into it, I'm sure we would get kind of the white glove treatment that we received with other third-party DAO services that we've plugged into. Yeah, I hope that that answers your questions, DeFi or Seth, and I'm happy to follow up with you once I have played around and maybe set up a bounty or two, and we can get notes to you so you can write down anything you'd like. I have one more item, and it's kind of a loose item to converse about, but we do have a couple of ops assistants on the team that have been working closely with Darwin about trying to wrap our heads around the best ways to manage DAO accounting. Right now, the state of the ShapeShift DAO treasury is kind of spread disparately across a whole bunch of different services, whether that is Colony or individual work streams also taking on invoices for things that they might need to. And there's a big swath of revenue generating things that the DAO has going for ourselves, like our relationship with Taxi Stake. And Darwin has put in a whole bunch of work, unpaid, kind of out of the kindness of his heart. He is, of course, a former centralized ShapeShift employee who's actually still currently working with them to solve all of their tax problems or woes or complications that being a centralized entity comes along with. And he's created the starts of a really nice dashboard, and it's a very high level overview of a lot of things, and it goes more granularly than, say, if you were to just look at our Zappify profile of the treasury. And our team is working at taking the much closer, fine-grained look at monthly budgets and salary payroll and things like that. And we're trying to bridge the gap between the two and potentially make some form of a workbook, a dashboard, a platform in which any random user, contributor, or someone even just researching DAOs would be able to see transparently everything that's going on in the DAO. Almost everything that we do is on chain and able to be looked into. It's one of the nice things that I love about working in crypto in general. And we've recognized that all of this stuff is available, and if someone wanted to put it together, they could. So it might as well be us, so we can make the best version of it. So Ron on the call on the stage right now is someone who's working on that as well. I know that we're still kind of in the preliminary conversations for the best way to move forward with this. And from our start of identifying pain points, one of the things we've brought up to question is the use of Colony itself inside our DAO, and if it is meeting all of the needs that we need, and potential other options out there. I'm not sure, Ron, if you've got anything else you'd like to add to this little conversation, or take it in a direction I haven't yet. But I know you've been looking at the numbers and crunching them far more than I have.
Yeah, around that same thing is the further more analytical side of accounting discussions of what is considered revenue and um, you know when can we start expecting revenues. I know we haven't actually gotten any of our partnership revenues yet from the Gem integration, and I believe the TDM merch store wouldn't be until after 3 months. Then there's like a 30-day invoice period that they give themselves as well. So it's like 3 times a year we get paid from that. So some of those delayed revenues that we might have earned already, we don't really have insight into at all. So trying to account for some of those things as well is going to be further discussion down the road. That's probably more of a tokenomics call question or conversation.
Totally. Well, I want to thank you publicly on the call for all of the work that you've done behind the scenes with Max and with Darwin. I know this is a project you and I have been kicking around for a while, so it's nice to get some steam behind it and some focus there. And I guess what I would also add to everyone else on the call is that if this kind of accounting project is something that you're interested in, or analytics or insights based on the DAO's treasury, the DAO's budgets, things like that, if that's something that tickles your fancy, that I think there's a dashboard channel actually that a lot of the conversations are aggregating around there, but also Ron PTT or MB Maria Max are two people really close to the ground working on this, and have so much work to share. So if you are interested in jumping in, maybe you got a little disappointed when you heard that I was looking for TypeScript and React contributors, and that's something a little above your head. But accounting or number crunching or spreadsheets is something that's more your speed. We definitely have lots of ways in which the DAO is looking for contributors to help us shore up all of our outstanding tasks. So maybe there's someone out there that
I
this
do think that
intrigues.
the dashboard is hidden behind a role of some kind, because there's only like 25 people total in that room. So I'm not sure which tag you need, but if you are interested, just request from Giantkin or the Mod Squad to get that role added.
Yeah, thanks for that clarity there. Yeah, looks like Mod Squad will take care of you quickly. They've always hit my requests for channels like that, kind of same minute that I ask for it. So got a great team over there. So yeah, if the math side of all of this and the numbers, or the transparency around the numbers is something that interests you at the DAO, that's where operations has our hands in the projects right now, and we hope to have um, more kind of to show from this maybe at a future operations office hour, or if not, kind of at an Allfox or wherever we're able to implement this. Cool. Well, that's all I have on my agenda for operations stuff, and I feel like I monologued for quite a bit here. Not sure if anyone on stage. Oh, you know what? We talked about this previously. Never was brought this up, and I think it's a really good thing to mention. One of the things that we organize outside of Gonagos are retros. We haven't had a retro in a while, and operations is also kind of uniquely found itself involved in the subject matter on some of these retros. So we're not always going to be the best unbiased interlocker or moderator of a retro, but thankfully we have Josh, who is kind of ancillarily connected to the engineering work stream, but also is very experienced and talented at running these kind of moderated meetings. So we have a retro that is scheduled for the Foxy work and bounty, and everything that the circumstances that went along with it. And retros aren't always supposed to be, let's talk about all the bad things that happened. A lot of the ways in which this is kind of just supposed to be a as close to objective view as possible into what went well, didn't go well, and what could we change in our actions to learn from those things. So I think that there were a lot of things that went really well with Foxy that we will be talking about in this retro. And I think there might be some lessons learned on how we can change things in the future that we may have learned from Foxy as well. And that is on the event calendar if you're looking to join us. I hope that you do. operations will not be the ones organizing it, but we will be involved in it ourselves and in our DAO admin organization responsibilities. It's definitely inside my responsibility to tell all of you that this retro is next Tuesday in 5 days. And to cordially invite you to join, to be a fly on the wall, to add your 2 cents, and to help us continue to grow. So please join us there. Cool. Well, I will now open this up for Q&A with the last 10 minutes that we've got here. I did monologue for quite a while. And if we don't hear anything for a minute or two, we'll bring Lo-Fi Girl back up here and give everyone 10 minutes back. I don't see anyone typing, so going once. Anyone got raised hands? Doesn't look like it. Going twice. Cool. We're going to bring Lo-Fi Girl back up here, and I'll see you guys all at any of our future meetings the rest of the day. Got a governance call coming up at 3 MST, where I will be back on